Fight!
Water, yeast, and cereal. These are the only 3 ingredients used in the production of whiskey. And on their own, they are pretty horrible, bland and yucky. But blended together in the right proportions and then aged in wooden barrels, they produce an exciting drink that is a chief export from Scotland. Very interesting fact, I hear you cry. But what good is that in a video about retro games? Well, it kind of sums up SNK's King of Fighters perfectly, in my opinion. SNK took 2 franchises from recent years, Fatal Fury and Art of Fighting, both of which were good games, but not great games. They added in a little spice in the form of some pre-Neo Geo characters, such as those from Ikari Warriors and Psycho Soldier, blended them all together into this versus fighter game with a difference. The difference being, this versus fighter was a team play versus fighter. SNK developed King of Fighters 94 with the initial idea of using several games from the company's library in order to attract gamers who played those games. The characters, designs, as well as its innovative gameplay system based on using teams of 3 members were both well received. Not only that, it was almost like this had been planned by SNK from the very beginning of Fatal Fury. Now that's long-term planning if I ever saw it. The basic gameplay system of King of Fighters 94 is similar to SNK's previous games, like the Fatal Fury series, Art of Fighting and Samurai Showdown. The game uses a 4 attack button configuration, similar to Fatal Fury 2 and Fatal Fury Special, that consists of light punch, light kick, strong punch and strong kick. Like in Fatal Fury 2, specialised techniques are performed by pressing combinations of buttons, allowing the player to dodge an opponent's attack, or to launch a character's powerful knockdown attack. As with most other fighting games, each character has a set of basic, unique and special moves that can be performed by the player with a specific series of joystick and button inputs. Each player has a power gauge at the bottom of the screen which charges when the character is blocking or taking attacks. It can also be filled manually by pressing and holding 3 buttons at the same time, although it leaves the character vulnerable to an attack. Once the power gauge is filled, the player's basic attacks become stronger for a short period. When the characters are in this state, their players can also perform the character's super move, which immediately consumes the entire power gauge. The players can also access their character's super move when the life gauge is 75% empty and flashing red like in Fatal Fury 2. Taunting an opponent can reduce their power gauge, slow down their manual charging and stop them from reaching the maximum level. King of Fighters 94 innovated the genre by replacing a traditional round-based format used in preceding fighting games with a format consisting of 3-on-3 team-based matches dubbed the Team Battle System. Instead of choosing a single character, the player selects from one of 8 available teams, each consisting of 3 members. Before each match, the player chooses the order in which their team members enter the battle. When the match begins, the members chosen to go first on their respective teams will fight. When one character is defeated, the following member of the same team will take his or her place, while the character on the other team will have a small portion of their life restored, if any energy was lost during the previous round. If a character is losing a match against the opponent, then the player can call one of the remaining teammates standing on the sidelines to jump in and perform a support attack. The match ends when all 3 members of either team lose. The game has 24 playable characters, consisting of 8 teams of 3 fighters. The final boss is not a part of any of the teams and is unplayable and fights the player's team alone. 5 teams consist of characters from other SNK series, while the rest consist mainly of King of Fighters originals. Each team represents a different country, though this only affects the stage on which the team is fought, and the characters, in many cases, don't share nationalities with the country they represent. The story goes that the prototype version of the game was a Double Dragon style side-scrolling beat-em-up titled Survivor. It would only use characters from Art of Fighting and the Fatal Fury series, specifically allowing players to play Robert Garcia and Terry Bogard for location testing. However, the idea was eventually abandoned. Since SNK were attached to the idea of the 2 series crossover, they eventually agreed to make their idea into an all-star fighting game. Vintage characters from Ikari Warriors and Psycho Soldier were also added to the roster. The concept of a 3-man team was one of the ideas kept from the side-scrolling version. The title, King of Fighters, was reused from the subtitle of the first Fatal Fury game, Fatal Fury, King of Fighters. SNK thought the game would not sell well, but believed it would eventually become popular. 10 people arrived at the first location test, but larger numbers came to subsequent tests. The SNK staff also had troubles with advertising the game due to a lack of money, and some of their ads were noted to be of a poor quality. Most of the characters from other games were meant to have some of their moves changed or removed in order to balance them with King of Fighters' new characters. However, designers focused on adjusting the imbalance of certain characters without removing any moves. In the end, creators of the series noted that the Art of Fighting characters were the strongest ones in the game. Nevertheless, other characters, such as Terry and Andy Bogard, became the ones who got the designers' utmost attention and were given new moves.
Italy! Yo, Bertha! Joe! Fight! Fight! That person and fight.
There are just so many things about this game that I love. The team battle was an absolute genius idea in my opinion, and this idea of the crossover was exactly the type of thing me and my schoolmates wanted to see in games for years. Now, granted this crossover is a little soft, as all of the characters are owned by SNK, but it didn't reduce the hype any at all. The great thing about the team battle was that fights were longer, and you really did feel that you were getting value for money, especially when you find yourself in a situation of each team losing a fighter along the way. It felt like each bout was lasting about 5 minutes. Compared to other versus fighters, some bouts could be over in 30 seconds, and in the case of Virtua Fighter, a bout could be over in about 5 seconds. The team battle also introduced a new strategy element. You had to be careful on the order of battle for your team, and as you could select the order for each new round, you were faced with the decision of going with your strongest fighter first or last. Go for glory or go for the Hail Mary. Not everyone was happy with the team battle though. Some critics complained that they couldn't pick their fighters but only pre-selected teams of fighters. But this issue was noted by SNK and addressed in later games. Something else about the game that is interesting are the visuals. The visual style in this game seemed like a departure of the visual style used by SNK in their previous fighting games. But then the style of Fatal Fury is very different from Art of Fighting. So instead of adopting one style over the other, the sprites were redrawn from scratch to suit this new look, but all of the detail from previous fighters was still included. The sound also seems like a bit of a hybrid, with the bangs and wallops sounding a little less bassy, but just as impactful. But the speech from the previous games is there, and sounds exactly like it does from those previous franchises. The music is of an acquired taste. The music on Team Korea stage is brilliant sounding, but at the same time, it sounds like a circus clown theme and ever so slightly out of place. And the music for the England stage is outstanding. And for me, it's a tough choice as to what my favourite tune is, but it's either China or England. The Mexico tune also deserves a mention. You can tell straight away it's got that whole Art of Fighting vibe to it, which I think is a great touch. I played this game in the arcades for the first time in January 1995, and I remember back then thinking that SNK had finally made a game that would be tough for Capcom to rival. This felt like another momentum shift in the arcades. The whole team battle thing was new, and with some of the fighters having their own stories from their own franchises, it felt like you were playing something truly special. And not only that, but this game always had a large crowd around it as well, and you could see more and more people queuing up to play this over Super Street Fighter 2 or Virtua Fighter. I played my mate in a versus battle, and we both agreed that this game was pretty excellent. In fact, over a few more visits on my days off, I was playing this game more and more. And then I just decided to see if I could buy it for my Neo Geo. I hadn't long purchased Samurai Showdown 2 as a new game, and yet I was finding myself looking to buy another new game for my Neo Geo. In those days, I had little integrity, and I couldn't stick to any promise I made, not even to myself. And so when I got home, I contacted a few mail order importers and was shocked at the price of this game. It certainly wasn't cheap. It was £225, and in some places it was £250. But I got my copy for £225. The dearest game I have ever purchased. And I don't use that comment lightly. And I may explain that in a later video or possibly just a short. But I digress here. A few days later the game arrived, and I couldn't stop playing this game. It was great fun to play, and great fun with mates. In fact, I played it so often, I still played it in the arcades, even when I had it at home. It was just a freaking awesome game. King of Fighters 94 was a game that started the whole team battle approach to the versus fighter. I do not recall any other game being like it, and for SNK it could have been a risky gamble, but this really started to turn the tide for SNK and prompted them to produce updates annually, and each one of them were great as well, and all of these games gained a loyal cult following, much like Street Fighter 2 did in the first part of the 90s. King of Fighters 94 may not be as fondly remembered as, say, King of Fighters 96 or King of Fighters 97, but as the game that started it all, and as polished as it was, it certainly deserves a play by any fighting fan. And that was my look back at King of Fighters 94. If you liked this video, then please do give me a sub and a thumbs up, or maybe even a comment or two below about your memories of King of Fighters 94. And a massive thank you to all those who have subscribed to my channel and commented on my videos. Your feedback and support really does go a long way in helping the channel grow, and I do appreciate all of the comments and support. So it's a massive thank you from me. And that's all from me, folks. Thanks for watching.